So anyway, I really hope that I do this justice. As I said, Tree Riesener is, she's the winner of our first Eludia Award, and we actually have 2 Eludia Awards in our pipeline right now. So hers and our second winner, who is Christine Whitmore from England, their books will probably come out within a month or 2 of each other. Tree is local. Tree is from Philadelphia. Remarkable, remarkable lady. Poet, writer, just an all-around amazing human being. And when we had our first Eludia Award, they're blind submissions, and I had culled everything down. We had gone through everything, got at least 3 readings, and in the last 5, I said, okay, I need to see the names now. And out of the last 5 finalists, 3 of them were trees. And I basically just called her and said, okay, bitch, you nailed it. I can't make a choice. You know, I love this one for these 20,000 reasons. I love this one for this. So we kind of went back and forth and decided that what we were going to bring out was a collection of her stories called Sleepers Awake. I don't know how to describe this, Doug. How do you describe Sleepers Awake? It's a very strange collection. I think so too. Very sort of sarcastic at times, really, really smart. Every story thematically is sort of connected in some way to spirituality, but never in the way that you would expect. And those who know Tree here know her sense of humor, so you can imagine. What I am reading here, oh, I forgot to tell you. Some of our books are back here in case you guys would like to buy some. There's also a sign-up sheet if you would like to win a copy of Tree's book. She's going to sign a copy for somebody. I should, yeah. I'll pass it around after. And there's also a creative writing workshop that I'm running starting next week, June 15th, I think it is, 6 Mondays at Kavanaugh's Head House in the Pickwick Room, which is about perfect. You know, it used to be the Dickens Inn, and they've retained the Pickwick Room, the name, which is perfect for, you know, us Dickens lovers.
Great workshop.
So, yes, that's right, you were in it. That's actually how you and I met, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're still putting up with them.
Yeah.
I am. We haven't killed each other yet. So, anyway, if I put this down a little bit lower, is it still picking up?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I really hope I'm going to do this justice. This is a short story called Godly Gadgets, and I'm just going to read a little bit of it. The first sign I received that day was on the way to see my mother, always a little stress-making to begin with. I ran into a woman's problem. I call it that because it's probably not a problem that most of you guys have, but it's something a lot of us women can relate to. You're walking down the street, minding your own business. You're deep in thought. You don't even notice the vague figure of a man leaning up against a building until he says something to you. What? You say, coming to a stop and looking at the complex character in a puzzled way. So he says it again. Hey, little lady, how you like to give me a blowjob? Well, believe me, nothing you learn from Miss Manners prepares you for this situation. All your mother ever said was to ignore people who say rude things. Am I right? At first I thought of just touching my rubber holy metal, one of my new products. I'm saying to him the little prayer that comes with it. I'm rubber and you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you. But that's too easy. You don't want to just walk away because this guy needs to be punished. You want him to suffer, at least a little. So here's the skinny I figured out. There's usually an audience. He's got some buddies leaning up against the wall with him, waiting. If you've got the nerve, you can look at his zipper and say, well, haul it out. Let me take a look before I make a decision. This is one where you can't lose, because chances are he's not going to do it. Then you say, if people don't let me inspect the merchandise, I figure there's something wrong with it. If he does have the nerve to unzip and haul it out, and with buddies there to egg him on, he very well might, you can give it a considering look and show disappointment. Maybe even shake your head a little. No matter what size or shape it is, you can show disappointment. It's even better if you're with a girlfriend, because you can look at each other and nod your heads and both show disappointment. You can smile and kindly say, I don't think so, and walk away. He can't win, and you can't lose. Oh, walk away fast. You might be in danger. I couldn't believe it. The day hardly started and already 2 major signs. The first, oh, that was before I even left home. I wish I'd taken it as a sign that I should stay home and get back in bed. Just as I was tearing out the door, the phone rang, so I went back and answered. So far as signs go, that's a tough one. The phone ringing just as you go out the door, but before you've managed to close it, it can mean that fate is giving you a chance for happiness if you're quick enough to dash back. Or it can mean that fate is getting ready to lay some heavy shit on you, and you can miss it if you're just a little too slow. But I'm an incurable hopeful, so I always go back and answer. Anyway, it was someone from a utility company. Yes, I neglected to pay the bill. It doesn't make me a bad woman. I've been stressed out lately. I'm not saying I was right. I was wrong. It keeps the world going to pay bills on time, I think. Somewhere in there with ethics, morality, cleanliness, the kind that's next to godliness. Anyway, I dropped everything and tore back to the house to answer the phone. No name. That whispery voice, that anonymous voice that these callers use when they call to tell you, you've got 3 business days to pay or we're going to turn off your utility. Now let's face it, he doesn't get paid much for a job like this, for calling people to deliver this kind of nasty message. So you wouldn't think that he could identify so much with his employers. You'd think he would have worked his message a little bit sympathetically. Something more like, I can't believe I have to do this in order to put groceries on my table, but believe it or not, I have to tell you that the money-grubbing bloodsuckers that I work for, who unfortunately have a monopoly on supplying you with this precious stuff that you must have in order to live, are going to turn off your utility and not give you a second thought if you don't cough up enough money in 3 business days. I could have lived with that. I couldn't bear the sly insinuations in his voice. What was unsaid. Yeah. I hear you stuttering and promising. We both know that you're not gonna pay. Furthermore, your roof is probably leaking. You probably have rats in your foundation. Your son is going to end up in prison for grand theft auto, and your daughter? 17 children with no husband. Oh yeah, your husband, if you ever manage to get one, is going to cheat on you. You have a horrible incurable disease percolating away somewhere in your innards, and it will be inoperable by the time it's discovered. I wouldn't worry about it though, given the life you lead. Everything you ever attempted to do is going to come to nothing. What's left of your life is going to be dismal and discouraging. You're not ever going to lose that 10 pounds you've been carrying around, and you might as well take up smoking in the near future, hoping for some foolish misjudged comfort. Oh, by the way, this might be a good time to let you know you didn't win the publisher's sweepstakes. That's true. Sign up and pen if you guys are interested in a free copy. I'm skipping you guys.
We're going to assassinate you.
So, all right, I guess that is it except for the partying. So if you're interested in taking a look, we do have a couple books here that we have put out. We have a couple different imprints on Hidden River, and the Sewillow Press is the one that's been the most lively. It's the imprint that's dedicated to books by and about women. So our first book was a collection of goddess essays that is phenomenal. It was something that, can you guys hear me? I didn't want to stand at the mic. That was written over a course of 20 years by a woman who actually had trained professionally as a scientist. And she got fascinated in goddess religions, and she just did her own research for years and years and years. And I was hired as her Hanukkah gift after she. No, I'm serious. Because I was running an art gallery, and the guy who owned the art gallery, Phil Lindy, knew that I was also really interested in world religions. That's like my first graduate degree, and I teach that sometimes. And he knew I was also an editor. And he told me about his wife's project, and she was just going to kind of stick it in the drawer and say, you know, that's it. It was fun while it lasted. And he said, I really think it needs to be out. So we worked together for almost a year editing these things. And I knew when she was working really hard because Phil would call me and say she's cursing again. But we ended up, we have this really great collection, and because she was at that point, I think, what, like 80 something, right? We really couldn't interest anybody, especially somebody who didn't have any publication records. So I just took it as a sign that one of the things that I had really dreamt about for years was launching this press. It seemed like it all kind of came together, and we had to bring this book out. So it's called Her Story, Essays on the Goddess in Our Lives, and that's here. The other fabulous book that we published is actually Miriam's mom, Barbara Schreiber, We'll Go to Coney Island. And the story about that one, I think, should I tell it? Okay. Correct me if this isn't, I may have embellished this as the year has gone on, I'm not sure. A photograph came across her desk. She was working as an archivist, right? Or no? Okay, all right, then correct me with this part. Tell me.
Okay, well, she had written this.
Could you take the microphone?
Oh, sure. My mother had started as a writer, and then she did give it up to become a mom, and then went back to it later after retiring from another career, and had a group of autobiographical short stories that sort of form a novel together that were inspired by her parents' lives. And then after she had written all of these stories, she came across, in a magazine, she came across a reproduction of a photograph by Walker Evans, which is a very famous photograph called Couple at Coney Island. And she looked at it, and in the photograph she recognized her father.
Wow.
And he is with his girlfriend at the time, and he was apparently having a little date with her. She was his secretary at the time, and cheating on my grandmother. Nobody had ever identified these people, but I can tell you it is my grandfather and my step-grandmother, because they did get married. And they were the basis for two of the characters in the book. So at that point, she sort of realized that that was the title of the collection.
That's wonderful.
So, but she had, one of the stories in there, I think may have already been called that, but it was about the father promising the children that he's going to take them to Coney Island. So Coney Island was actually in there before she found that picture.
So anyway, those are the kinds of works that we want to bring out, and that is also the press where Tree's book will be out, and then the next book after that is Christine Whitmore's book, Inscription. So it takes us a long time to get the funds to get a book out. But I'm just super proud of the kind of women that are being published in the press. And I just love the fact that there are these wonderful, wonderful writers out there who are not, 20 below 30 or 30 below 20 or whatever the hell they are. Yeah. Sure.
The woman that you see right next to me is featuring all these wonderful people. She never featured herself. She's a tremendous writer. I have a book at home that I read her stories. They still haunt me. They are so beautifully written. I took a workshop with her. There are people who are beginners who have never written anything. I'd never written a short story in all my life. And there are people who have written umpteen books. And she manages to get the best out of everyone. She spends a great deal of time in giving feedback to every single person, plus the feedback from the others. And this workshop is starting next week somewhere.
June 15th.
June 15th in this great place, the Pickwick Club. And she charges a fraction of what the universities charge, even though she's a college professor herself. I wasn't paid for doing this. I just grabbed the microphone away from her. I don't know whether she has the book. It has the book with your stories. Could I get a copy right now to show them?
I wasn't going to brag about that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I want to brag about it because it's unbelievably powerful. And another thing she does, there are so many things she doesn't talk about, but I do. That's the one. Other likely stories. You must read this book. You might get a little discount, or she might sign it for you, or something like that. They're really beautiful and moving. And the best part is, if you take the workshop, everyone here has a story, and 2, and 3, and 4. So you can start writing your own stories. So please think about it and joining it. And I'm in awe of all the things you're doing. And as a non-American, in case you're wondering, I'm not from New Jersey. They thought I was from Mississippi or Alabama. Seriously. To me, what I saw tonight, it's all private initiative. You did all of this and brought your friends together. To me, I must tell you, Debra, you represent America at her best. Thank you.
None of that's true.
It's all true.
No, I mean,
It's all true.
no, I mean, look around this room. The people in this room are all artists. We all work together. We all do so many things that are co-creative. It really isn't. It's not any one person. Every one of us steps out and says, all right, I'll take this on. And it's like what I said, it's like what we do for love. We love this stuff. And I think that if we don't do it, it doesn't get done. Yeah. So it really isn't. It's not any one person. It really isn't. So, but thank you guys so much for coming. And eat and drink more. Did you eat anything? I'm looking at you, son-in-law. Did you?
I will.
I told you he sucked, right?
Well, you got so notice he peed on the floor.
I'm working on it. I'm working.
Depends. That's I tell you that, right? Anyway, all right.